Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. Hope you guys are all having a great day. This is my movie of walking the Montclair Boonton Line, Old Montclair Boonton Line. I've been here many times, as some of my OG subscribers know, but I've never walked the full portion like Wheeler and Tabanez has. And you know, there's so much stuff out in the Meadowlands that I want to see, and we're really running out of time because the Essex Hudson Greenway is building a rail trail here, which will basically mean that there's no more exploring the abandoned railroad. The tracks have already been torn up almost 2 years ago now, and when I saw that the tracks were torn up in the beginning of 2023, I thought at that point, you know, that was the last chance I would get to really walk it. I thought that they were going to start to pave it, but fast forward to September of 2024, and nope, still nothing has really been done. My guess is they're surveying it. There's probably some opposition from locals in many of the towns that this abandoned railroad cuts through, but we're at the start of it right here in Montclair, New Jersey. This is called the Montclair Connection. So basically, a train station was built to connect it with the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad for Midtown direct service. The trains used to go to Hoboken, but by 2002, they cut service to this rail line. There's already somebody over here, some kid. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, it's rare that you rarely run into people here. So when I do, it's usually just people walking, so I don't really mind. But this provided connections to New York City rather than Hoboken. And this is when they cut the service. This train line stopped operating due to low ridership, and it was easier just for people to go right to Midtown New York rather than take the path or take a ferry to Manhattan. Caught dumping on this property $50,000. But as long as you're not doing anything wrong, Norfolk Southern no longer owns the railroad tracks. So it's basically just me out here and that boy. Maybe I'll get to talk to him, maybe not. We'll see why he's out here. But when I came back here to walk with my friend who was in one of my earlier videos about exploring the abandoned railroad tracks, we were going to explore an abandoned middle school in Bloomfield, but our plans changed, so we came here at night. This was my first time coming here at night, and nothing really happened. But once they tore up the tracks 2 years ago, it became so overgrown. Not in this portion, I don't know, I think somebody's maintaining this portion, but once you get to Bloomfield, there are so many weeds. There's even trees that are starting to grow, and that's another concern. Like, do they really want to get rid of all these plants? They're turning this into a quote-unquote greenway, but it already is a greenway. Look at this. A lot of animals live here, a lot of deer, foxes, maybe the occasional raccoons, squirrels, maybe even coyotes. So do they really want to, you know, destroy the life for all these animals? Because there isn't really anywhere for them to go in this urban environment of North Jersey. Anyways, we're coming under our first bridge, Bay Street in Montclair. This is really the first bridge, and the graffiti here is excellent. It really is. So this railroad goes all the way from Montclair to Jersey City, which is about 11 miles. But because there are some freight yards and this abandoned tunnel known as the Bergen Arches, that would probably just be too expensive to get the right of way for a bike path. It's only going to go 9 miles. And I'm not going to walk this in one day. It'll be over several days. And today, I'm only going to go between the Montclair and Glen Ridge portions, and then we'll probably do Bloomfield and Belleville. We'll do a separate day for Newark, because there's a lot of interesting stuff in the Newark portion. And then we'll go to Kearny, and maybe we'll make it out to the Meadowlands. I really hope that we do, because there's a lot of interesting stuff there that I haven't seen yet. I know for a fact. So we'll see. We are currently under Baldwin Street in Glen Ridge, and this is where the graffiti really gets excellent. Dove Six, he's a popping off graffiti artist who's been spray painting over many of the train trestles in Montclair. He's really popping off right now. So it's interesting to see the evolution of the graffiti over time. So I think that the main reason why, I mean, just 4 years ago, the first time I went onto this railroad, it was definitely not green like this. There were still tracks here. It just looked like an abandoned railroad. But once they tore up the tracks, there was really nothing in the way for all this vegetation to grow. There was really nothing that could stop it from being grown. So, but for me, when I come here now, it doesn't even look like a railroad anymore. And it honestly, you know, kind of makes me upset. You know, and the cost for this project is insane. It cost the Essex Hudson Greenway, which they got funding from the state, $65 million just to buy it from Norfolk Southern, which used to own this property. And then there are so many bridges, one of which is stuck open in a swinging position because it was a drawbridge across the Hackensack River. They're gonna have to build a whole new one, and who knows how much that's gonna cost. You know, it's a lot. When I first found out about the railroad back in 2020, I was trying to find, you know, videos, pictures, articles, whatever, about what this railroad looked like before it became abandoned. And there wasn't really much I could find because YouTube did not exist in 2002. So, although I did come across several videos, some of which were in the 90s. One was of a train operator driving the whole line all the way to Hackettstown, or however far west this went. And it was in a snowstorm back in 1990. So I'll leave links if you want to check out some of the videos on YouTube of this line before it was abandoned. There isn't much though, but one of the videos was when the last trains were running right at this bridge right here. A YouTuber named Andrew Nelson recorded the last couple trains. I guess he was a rail fan and lived in the area, so he recorded the last few trains running here. And I think he also has a video from 1996 as well. This line was all diesel, but today the Montclair Boonton Line, once they did the Midtown direct service, the line is electric now. The trains going to Montclair State are electric, but the ones that head further west are all diesel, and the ones that go to Hoboken, because some of the trains still do go to Hoboken, are all electric. This is a good hangout spot for some people in the area. There isn't really much in Glen Ridge. It's a very boring town, so just a cool little spot to hang out in, I guess. So we're really approaching the first train station that is abandoned. You can't see it now because it's so overgrown, but before the tracks tore up, you could see the train station, the platform. You could see it right here, but barely. This was the old Benson Street train station in Glen Ridge. Right here, you can even see this is really overgrown. The staircase, which would lead up to a residential neighborhood, so people could just get off the train right here and walk right to their homes. It's probably pretty dilapidated at this point, but you can see the platform there, and then there was a waiting room which caught fire twice, I think. And then eventually somebody bought the house, and now people live there. I think it was an older couple, but I think they left once they found out that once they tore up the tracks, you know. So now somebody else lives in there now. And I don't know about you, but I would not want to live here, because you think about how many people would be biking and walking past your house once they do get the right of way. There'd be a lot of people. So this is all a platform at one point. And I think the house, I mean, the history of the station is nice, and I think it's nice that you can tell people, hey, I live on a train station. You know, I used to live in a former train station. But the house is ugly, man. There's so many hideous garden gnomes. I mean, some people like this architecture, but I really don't. There's a nice community garden here. I really like the Glen Ridge portion. It's very quiet and less overgrown. Once we get to Bloomfield, it'll be a lot more overgrown. if you come here, you really need to bring some good boots. You know, sneakers may seem like a good option, but the rocks, walking along all these rocks, it actually starts to hurt your feet after a while. So definitely bring some boots if you can. Entering the town of Bloomfield, and there's a cemetery right there. Bloomfield's an awesome town. I love this place. And we're approaching Broad Street, which is the first bridge in Bloomfield. There are several train bridges. Broad Street and the Garden State Parkway are in the best shape. Some of them are in really bad shape though. So some of them at this point, with all the rotting wood and everything, it's pretty much impossible to walk across them without getting injured or falling into the road. Here's a great view of the city of Bloomfield from Broad Street. This is what I mean by really overgrown. And we haven't seen nothing yet. Just past the New Street train bridge, it's like a jungle, man. This place is like a little urban oasis because it's always quiet. You never really run into anyone. This is one of the bridges I was talking about that's really in bad shape. This one is actually better than Belleville Avenue and Spruce Street. Those I can't even walk across, but this one, if you keep your balance, you'll be all right. This is what I mean. The area is just so overgrown. Vegetation has just completely taken over in the Bloomfield portion. What's really amazing is there's all these umbrella trees growing in this portion, and these are absolutely beautiful. I feel like this is something you would see in a botanical garden. And, you know, what's going to happen when this becomes a bike trail? Are they going to get rid of these? You know, who knows? This right here is the Belleville Avenue Bridge. And as you can see, it's in really bad shape. And you can just see how many times trucks have hit this bridge. It's a very low clearance. And that's another concern for the Greenway. So this is the Belleville Avenue Bridge. And directly next to it is the Spruce Street Bridge. But both of them are in really bad shape, so I don't even really bother walking that portion. I'll just climb right back up once we get past these two bridges. I mean, just walking this bridge is deadly. Especially because it just rained last night and the wood is really slippery, so not stable wood at all. This is one of my favorite bridges along the line. This is going over JFK Drive in Bloomfield. And even though this one is pretty deteriorated, you can still walk across it safely. And the graffiti scene over here is really beautiful. My favorite bridge in Bloomfield is when we get to walk across the Garden State Parkway. The longest highway in the state goes all the way from the top of the state all the way down to Cape May. And even early at 7 on a Sunday morning, you can still see there's always a consistent flow of cars on the parkway. And just listening to it is pretty amazing. Although, if you want to just sit here and listen to the cars, definitely go down here. Because if a state trooper sees you, he's probably going to think you're jumping off the bridge. So just relax here and listen to the flow of cars. Right by the parkway used to be the Orchard Street train station. But by 1955, when they were, doing the construction for the parkway, they had to relocate the train station to Rowe Street, which is the next station stop. Once the parkway came in, it just tore up everything over here. And there's a really small house there, like a really, really tiny house. It could have been like a plantation house or something back in the day. I really don't know. But I didn't get some footage of it because the sun is just so bright this morning. So you wouldn't have been able to see it anyways. Finally, it's not overgrown anymore. So it's just smooth sailing. At least for now. The Old Boonton Line has probably the best graffiti scene of any abandoned railway. And the Williamson Avenue underpass is no exception. The evolution of graffiti in this area has just changed over the years, and a lot of people have gotten crossed out. And if somebody crosses your graffiti out, you basically start beef with that graffiti artist, and they'll go after every tag that you've done. We can see Dove Six again. We'll probably see him several times on the line. I've also heard that this has been a big party spot for kids in Bloomfield, because I know a few people from Bloomfield. Definitely a big graffiti spot, that's for sure. One time when I saw some people walking here a couple years ago, they told me that one of the people in this neighborhood, in one of these houses, used to dump garbage down here, and it used to be a lot dirtier. You can see it's kind of dirty, but it was a lot worse at one point. I mean, maybe he's still dumping garbage down here. I really don't know. But usually Amazon boxes have addresses, so if you want to return this to Paul's house at 47 Williamson Avenue, you can do that. Right around here is where I first found out about the line. So it was in 2020. I was biking. I did a lot of bike riding during what was going on back then. And I was going from the Wendy's in Bloomfield back to my house. And I went down a side street. I believe it was Berkeley Avenue. And I found this trail, or this railroad, which at the time had tracks and everything. So I walked pretty much the whole thing. I think I walked all the way to Montclair, yeah. And I was just like, oh, I had no idea these tracks ever went to Montclair, you know? It was somewhere in this area, I think. And there was a railroad signal in this area, I remember, but one of the things that's pissing me off the most about this greenway is that they're just tearing up all the railroad history. They tore up the crossings. I mean, I understand why they would have to tear up the rails and the ties, because, you know, you need to make a level bike trail, but the fact that they removed all the signals, all the crossings, and it's just like they wiped out the entire railroad history. This place has been in service since the 1800s. I believe this was first inaugurated in 1872. So a lot has happened since then, and it's just been wiped out. You know what I mean? Right here, you can see this mile marker, JC10, which means there is 10 more miles to Jersey City. I'm not gonna walk the whole portion, definitely not. I'm not gonna go all the way to the Hudson River, where the old Pavonia terminal used to be back in the day. But I really hope to get out in the Meadowlands. We're coming up on the old Rose Street train station, which was built around 1955 and went abandoned as soon as this railroad cut service in 2002. This was the parking lot over here. This is the platform. This one, you can definitely tell it was a train station. Benson Street in Glen Ridge at this point is so overgrown, you can barely tell, but here, you could tell that there was a train station at some point. You could see that in 1955, the staircase was built, and this is how people from this neighborhood got up. Now somebody went through here and made a little trail. But something interesting I just saw is there's still a Norfolk Southern no trespassing sign. Obviously, they bought the property from Norfolk Southern, but I guess they never got rid of the sign. As I cross Willett Street, I am leaving the city of Bloomfield and entering the town of Belleville. Belleville's an interesting part because you'll see a lot of deer in this portion. And it's really, really quiet in the Belleville area. So it's just kind of relaxing. There really aren't many people out here, you know. Some people may say, oh, it's unsafe to walk an abandoned railroad. You never know what's out here. But really, there's nothing out here. And the only people you ever run into are people that are also, you know, just walking and, you know, just chilling. Sometimes at night, I mean, there's probably homeless people or, you know, drug deals that go down, but that's why I go during the day. So in Belleville, I met a lady who lives on a truck lot. I think her family owns it or she owns it, something along those lines. And it's right here. You can see some trucks. They got dump trucks, mostly dump trucks in this lot. And you know, we had a long conversation in 2021. Fast forward to 2023, I ran into her again when I was walking in here, right when they tore up the tracks. And, you know, she's telling me how against the project she's going to be, you know, because she's going to might most likely have to be bought out and, you know, and removed from her property. And there's another truck lot in Newark that is going to be facing the same problem, you know. Towns like Montclair and maybe Bloomfield, where there's a lot of, you know, gentrification, people are all for these projects. But in places like Belleville and Newark, and Kearny, where it's mostly blue collar and people run industry along these tracks, you know, there's a lot of consequences to this. She mentioned some safety concerns in the Newark area, which, to be fair, she's kind of right. Newark's definitely not the safest city, so there's also safety concerns about that as well. This is just going to ruin a lot of people's livelihoods at this truck lot. What about the animals' livelihoods, though? What's going to happen to them? There's a lot of unanswered questions. So this is the house right here. And she had a railroad crossing here that you can see that there are some railroad tracks that go back here. They probably went to the truck lot at one point. If I run into the lady on my way back, I might, you know, ask her that question, but I don't know if I will. You know, and something I haven't spoke about yet, that's definitely going to be a consequence, is all the gentrification. I mean, they want to call it a greenway, and yes, it's awesome that, you know, you'll be able to bike here, but at the same time, think about all the working class towns this cuts through. Bloomfield, Belleville, Newark, Kearny, all those places are mostly middle class, hardworking people. And then once those people from New York City, the gentrifiers, come in, you're going to start seeing luxury apartments in areas where there used to be working class families. You know, think about how many people are going to be here. Think about how many people are going to be biking here, how busy it'll get, especially on weekends, you know. And they're calling this a greenway, but look at it. What is the color of all the trees? It's already green. You know, think about all the animals that are here. We just saw a large herd of deer. Think about it for a second. Look at that bird that just went by. It's a really big bird. So, it already is a greenway. And maybe this is just the way they should keep it from now on. We're walking across Franklin Avenue, which is one of the safer bridges in Belleville. I'm starting to see the umbrella trees again, which, look at this one. Oh my gosh. This is amazing right here. One of my pit stops along the way is that Wawa right there. I might go there on the way back. We'll see. This building right here is a wedding venue called Nanina's in the Park. It's right by Branch Brook Park on the border of Belleville and Newark. And right here is one of the last pieces of the railroad that's still standing. My guess is it was an electrical box. They cut out all the wires, but it just looks really old. Wow. Nanina's is actually a really beautiful place because you have the second river, which I think is actually right here. You can see the creek. You can see the deer. There's one right there as well. And it flows right underneath here and through the wedding venue. So it's just a really beautiful place. And as I said before, the Belleville portion is really beautiful, really quiet, very green, tranquil, very mindful, very demure. I am approaching the Hendricks Golf Course, and what really pisses me off about this place is the fact that they fenced off the portion of the railroad that went through the golf course. So now you gotta walk through this overgrown area and try to jump over the fence. I hate golf, and the fact that they're blocking me from exploring this place really pisses me off. But I'll always walk across. It's not gonna, that stupid plastic fence is not gonna stop me. But maybe these thorns will. Shit. So it's slippery today, and I slipped a couple times trying to get across the fence, but we made it nonetheless. There's nobody out here, which is really nice to me, because even though I hate the sport of golf, I have to admit golf courses are really beautiful. So I just have this beautiful little oasis to myself. We're coming across my favorite bridge on the line here in Newark. We just entered Newark, New Jersey, right over Branch Brook Park, the cherry blossom capital of the world, although they're not in season right now, not till next spring, but you can see you've got the second river flowing through. It's nice and quiet. I've got this graffiti-filled bridge. You just got to get out here and enjoy it, you know. Who knows when they're gonna, put this project in, and I really don't. You know, it could be 5 years from now, it could be tomorrow. You never really know, but this is by far the most scenic portion between the golf course, really beautiful part of the abandoned railroad, and just get out and enjoy it, before this becomes a bike path. It'll probably be beautiful even when it's a bike path. The second river, just listen to the noise. Beautiful sounds of nature in New Jersey's most populated city. Really amazing, honestly. So it'll still be beautiful even when it's a bike trail, but I'm gonna get out here and enjoy it now when there's nobody here. And you just got the noise of the river. It's nice and quiet. You've got people rolling up blunts. All that. Probably the best graffiti scene you'll find walking around here is the Bio Foods. It's really overgrown and kind of hard to get to, but the graffiti scene here is immaculate. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't even call this graffiti. These are like murals. This used to be a lot of just graffiti. I did a tag here about a year ago, but yeah, and it was right around here. But when you come over here, there's just so much graffiti that you kind of have to expect to get written over. So I knew at some point I was going to get written over, but I didn't really care. I really want to go into the building. I tried to one time, but it's locked, and you can see that the lights are still on in this building, so I don't know if they're repurposing it or what, but you could see it's just so overgrown, and getting there is really, really difficult. Getting to the door, at least. Don't try breaking in, even though it looks like it's open. It's not. It's a steel door on top of another steel door. So if you try and open it, you'll get tendinitis in your arm. But just admire the graffiti here, because it's excellent. It's a very quiet part of Newark. The two abandoned railroads meet up here, and you got the Tiffany and Steel Company. It's honestly a pretty great area. It's also a pretty safe part of Newark as well. You can sit on these logs and just relax. Right here is where the Old Boonton Line meets up with the Orange branch of Norfolk Southern. So I actually had no knowledge of this railroad. I knew it was here, but I never knew the history or anything like that until somebody pointed it out in my last Boonton Line video. As you can see, it's completely overgrown. There's a lot of illegal dumping, and they tore up the tracks here, which leads me to believe that they are going to build kind of like an extension of the Essex Hudson Greenway. And the thing that pisses me off the most about this trail is the fact that they've been removing the railroad crossings. It makes me just so upset. It actually infuriates me. You know, these are really old railroad crossings, possibly from the 50s, 40s, maybe even the 30s. And where are they going? Are they going to a scrapyard? Are they going, you know, to a railroad museum? Who knows? But it's pretty tragic. You can really see that they are, you know, doing this project. I heard that the Newark Kearny portion is going to be completed in about towards like the end of 2025. They actually have pretty much a list of the iconic locations along the track. And here's a photo from Jimmy Douglas in the Kearny cut, which is funny because Wheeler Antabanez is the one who has the most photos and documented the line, but you know, he's against the project for, you know, the animals, you know, but they never showed him, obviously. Right here in Newark, though, there's a nice community garden. I don't know what they're gonna do to it when the trail comes through. Hopefully they'll keep it. I mean, it's very beautiful. Obviously the neighbors did a really good job at putting this together. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? This place was a silver factory. They made really luxurious jewelry, and everything they made was very, very expensive. They even made this like silver paper, or like this embossed. It was like $1 a page. It was very, very expensive back then. This place has been around for many years. Really, it's a beautiful building, as you can see. And what's pretty awesome about it is that they turned this whole building into an apartment complex. So I thought that was really amazing. You know, a lot of the time they'll tear down historic sites, or they'll tear up abandoned railroads and put in luxury condos, but the fact that they restored this building is really amazing. So one of the concerns about building the trail was the safety concerns here in Newark, and as you can see, they're taking that pretty seriously. They got a whole security system that is monitored by the police, so they're taking this very seriously. From this portion all the way to Broadway, the tracks are taken over by truck lots, so they're still there, believe it or not, even though they bought the Essex Hudson Greenway bought the trail and everything. They bought the right of way, but I guess people are still keeping their trucks here. I don't know what they're gonna do. There used to be a beautiful railroad signal right here, I remember, but they tore that up too. So I am going to walk through North Newark until I reach the tracks again. Right here in the truck lot, looks like almost everything has gotten cleared up. Same thing on this side as well. If you're on Mount Prospect Avenue, I'm gonna head down to Verona Avenue, which runs adjacent to the tracks. If you're wondering why there's so many Puerto Rican flags today, it's because the Puerto Rican parade is today here in Newark. It's along Bloomfield Avenue. I really wanted to go, but unfortunately I have work, so I made it back to where the tracks are no longer the truck lot. There really isn't much history of a train station being here, but there are stairs leading to the tracks, so there must have been a train station here at some point. When the tracks were here, oh my gosh, this area was so overgrown. There was so much illegal dumping. There were couches, garbage bags, pretty much everything. But then they tore up the tracks, and then boom, it was all gone. It was actually pretty crazy. Now this house, which used to have a really loud barking dog, is now abandoned. So I don't know how overgrown it still is. Oh, it's overgrown again. Really overgrown. Yeah, I can't really walk through that. Look at how old this sign is. This was probably here when the railroad was active. So I'm coming up here. It looks like somebody's living on this bridge. Not sure. Well, there's nobody in there now, but somebody definitely lives there. Little does he know this will be a bike trail soon. This is just a really sketchy neighborhood around here. Broadway and Verona Avenue. It's not the best area. So yeah, pretty much everything is gone from the truck lot. There's a few trucks, a scrapped truck right there. But yeah, they really took up everything. Put tons of police cameras in here, so I'm not gonna stick around too long. But yeah, and there's really like no evidence that there was ever a train station here. I mean, those stairs wouldn't lead up to the railroad for no reason. You can just see this lush green forest. If you look on a satellite view on Google Maps, it's just this huge green line that just runs through Newark, Kearny, pretty much all the urban areas. And yeah, it's already a greenway. This is probably the most overgrown part, so I'm not going to walk through there, but I'm going to go back to where it meets up at McCarter Highway towards the WR drawbridge. This is the old Seat and Leather building, and right here there used to be an abandoned house, a really big one, and there was a fire. And for a while, there was this homeless man and a dog squatting there. And I remember walking by one time and just hearing a dog barking from an abandoned building. I was like, what the hell? Did somebody like abandon their dog? And then I saw this crazy person living there. And while all this was happening, there was a cop just sitting like right here. Didn't do anything, you know? It's kind of crazy. I really, you know, hope the dog is okay. I made it to McCarter Highway in Newark, and this is one of the bridges. Look at how high up this bridge is. And this bridge is in really bad shape. Like, it's not safe to walk across. Hopefully this portion from here to the Passaic River is in good enough condition for me to walk it. I don't know how overgrown this area is, but we'll see. I mean, you can already see from the top how decayed that bridge is, and it's really hard to get up here, so I'm questioning if I should even do it, but I think I will. Here's a view from the top. That bridge is not safe, and it's still pretty overgrown, but I'm gonna still see if I can get to the Passaic River. Somebody else is living there, so I will be leaving. I'm surprised that they made it up here. And I don't know how do they get out of here. It's so hard to climb down this bridge. But I guess no one would bother them up here except for me. But yeah, I gotta make it down. I'm not sticking around any longer. Right here was one of the electrical boxes, and I guess it got knocked over, and it's right there. I don't know who knocked it over, if it was the wind or was the Essex Hudson Greenway. I really don't know. It really sucks that I couldn't make it up to the Passaic River, but it's not worth going up there. It's hard to get up, it's even harder to get down, and there's homeless people. Also, there's nothing there. It's all overgrown. Kitty, kitty! Right here we have a beautiful view of the WR drawbridge on the Kearny side. You got the Passaic River flowing through. And this bridge is an iconic bridge for several reasons, but mainly because it was in the intro of The Sopranos. So a big piece of New Jersey history made famous in a TV show. That is just awesome. Here's a view from the top of the bridge. It's not a very safe bridge to walk across, and it's also fenced off. But yeah, one of the biggest concerns about this trail is how much is it going to cost to repair these bridges? You know, their budget's $100 million, but they already paid $65 million to the state, Norfolk Southern. So this project is definitely going to go over budget. You can still see the rails right here, and I think that's awesome. This is really the only piece of rails anywhere. Clearly, the residents and the Kearny police are taking this area seriously because there is surveillance cameras. Right in this area was the West Arlington train station, which service was decommissioned before 2002 because I guess it was low ridership. Plus, the Arlington train station really isn't that far away, so my guess is there wasn't much demand for this train station. There really isn't much left other than the platform. You can see this is where the platform will be, and you'd wait for the train. But we're gonna walk through the Kearny Cut. The Kearny Cut used to be really overgrown, but I think this is the portion that they're working on. I've actually never really been in the Kearny portion, so I don't know. And you got a little stream right here. I'm so excited today that I can hopefully get out into the Meadowlands. That's what I've been most excited for. I've never been out in the Kearny Marsh yet, so I'm really looking forward to that. So the reason they call this the Kearny Cut is because back in the day, they needed to blast through the rock to build a level train bed. And you just have this beautiful rock formations, and it's like a mini canyon in a way. This is absolutely beautiful. Will it be as beautiful as the Meadowlands? I don't know. You could see though there's a lot of water in here, because every time it rains you got like all these mini like holes and mini like streams going through here, and it all dumps out right here. So, and there goes another problem for this trail. How are they going to have flood control in the Kearny Cut? Because obviously they're going to need it. It hasn't even really rained recently. So just think about what this area is like when it does rain. I would even argue that the Kearny Cut is prettier now because they just cleared everything up. There used to, in pictures, it used to be really overgrown. There was a lot of stuff in the way, but now there's nothing. You got this old viaduct or this aqueduct going across the Kearny Cut. It's just beautiful. And then there's this really nasty water right here. I just want to throw a rock in it to see what it's like. Look at it forming again. That's so cool. Looks like people have tried to bike through here. I wouldn't, just because of how muddy it is. You're not going to get anywhere. I am now underneath the Kearny Avenue Bridge, and this bridge is impressive. I just want to get up here, man. I do want to see what it's like up there, but I don't really feel like walking up there, or climbing up there, I should say. You got a lot of rock formations up here. I don't know if that's from rain or whatever. And this rock wall, this actually looks like the Grand Canyon. This is beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a little light up there. I don't know if somebody's camping out there or they're homeless. I don't know, but we've seen that a couple times on this line, so I would not be surprised. Just ran across this really, really disgusting stream. There's obviously some kind of pollution in here, and I don't know what it is. But oh my God, it is disgusting. I'm finally leaving the Kearny Cut and approaching the Arlington train station. Underneath this bridge in Kearny, there is a lot of illegal dumping. Oh, and another homeless person. Great. Let's get out of here. This bridge is in bad shape. Look at that. It's not good, man. It's really not. Right here is the old Arlington train station. And I don't know, this train station looks really, really tiny. Like you could definitely only fit one track here. But there's also a platform on that side of the street as well. So I'm wondering if maybe this is like pick up only and drop off. I really don't know. A lot of the people here in Kearny look at you weird for walking on the tracks. I've noticed. There's also a lot of police. I've seen some undercover cops. I saw 2 cop cars. Yeah, they don't take lightly to trespassing here in Kearny. This looks like this was an old waiting room at some point. Pretty interesting. And right here, you can see the loudspeaker or PA system right here, telling you when the next train is. I've also got the old lights for the station. Wonder what this is gonna be when they put the bike trail in. Will this be like a rest area with a bunch of benches? I really don't know. Would be interesting to find out. Another homeless tent right there. Wow. I mean, I remember when they did have the tracks here, I never saw any homeless people, so I don't know what's up with the influx of homeless people along this line. Schuyler Avenue in Kearny. Not a great graffiti scene down here. So it's all really bad graffiti, except for these right here. These are nice. Found this abandoned building and an old aqueduct. What did I just come across? It looks like this old elevated bridge. I don't know what it was used for. Was it maybe a railroad spur? I have no idea. Very interesting though. I don't know if you guys can see it from here. Well, that's the end of it, literally right there. So I just hit the frickin' jackpot. Look at this. You got this old railroad signal. The only one that they didn't demolish. Look at this. How impressive is that? I'm gonna climb up there. I just ran into another surveillance system. Wonder why they put one out here. I'm pretty much out in the marsh at this point, and I didn't even think about this, but there are so many bugs. It's getting really overgrown out here, and I've probably walked through 1,000 spider webs at this point. Feels like I've been going through this overgrown portion of the line with thousands of bugs, thousands of spider webs. I feel like I've been walking through there forever. Finally made it to the Route 7 bridge. Shout out to Adopt 6. I finally made it out into the Meadowlands, and I'm walking over this really, really rickety bridge over this creek. But it's actually very beautiful. Oh my God, guys, it smells like rotten eggs out here. Woo. The smell is awful, but it's still beautiful nonetheless. And we are approaching the New Jersey Turnpike. You can see MetLife Stadium from here, where the Giants and Jets play. Oh my God, I should have brought a mask out here. The smell is terrible. Not really too sure why, but there are a bunch of security cameras out here. For what? I don't know. Got this billboard up here. And we are now going underneath the western spur of the New Jersey Turnpike. Clearly some people are getting wasted out here. It's a lot of beer and a lot of illegal dumping. That's pretty sad. There's even more over here. Wow. Got New York City right there. You can see man, I just love the graffiti out here. What's awesome about graffiti in spots like this is that it's pretty much just a free-for-all. There's nobody here to really stop you. There's no cops down here. And take the time to make this graffiti. It's really amazing. Guys, I think I just ran into a vehicle. I don't know what it is or why it's out here, but I'm gonna start heading back. Yeah, there's definitely a vehicle out here. Ah, shit. What the hell? He just drove right past me. That is so weird. I thought that was like a cop or construction worker. I think that's just somebody in his personal vehicle. I don't know how the hell he got out here, but wow. And he just looked at me. He didn't even do anything. Wow. Pretty crazy. But there really isn't much here except for the drawbridge, which is swung open. So I'd have to go another day and go to another side. So out, and you can see the view of Snake Hill. But I'll have to go there another day and bring the car up and everything. We're here at the beautiful Snake Hill in Secaucus, New Jersey. We're almost done with the trip, but I'm trying to figure out how to get up here because it's blocked off, you know, from a fence, I guess, for falling rocks in Laurel Hill Park here in Secaucus. So I'm trying to figure out on how to get to the tracks. I don't need to be at the top of Snake Hill. But the view of Snake Hill when you're driving on the turnpike, nobody really thinks of this part of the state as beautiful because, I mean, to be fair, it's not. But when you actually go out into the Meadowlands, if you can get past the smell of rotten eggs, then it's pretty, gotta admit. Well, I found the DB drawbridge, but I don't think I'm gonna get across it because there is a sheriff in the pathway right there. So I don't know if that portion is being completed or what, but I probably won't be able to get out there. I mean, I could ask, but I don't want to. I'm just out here appreciating this view. And now when I ran into the person out there, I didn't think about it in the moment, but that was probably one of those scariest moments of my life. As you can see, the line is, so there's basically water on both sides. So when they were engineering this line, they just dumped tons and tons of rock and dirt over here, and it's basically just an island. There's really only one way in and one way out, and I thought maybe it would be a cop or somebody working for the Greenway and they would have charged me with trespassing, or somebody out there dumping bodies. I mean, when they were doing construction for all the railroads and highways in this area, they found bodies. You know, this is one of the scariest parts of New Jersey. This is where the mob, Tony Soprano, all that, this is where they all dump their bodies. So it's scary to see somebody out there. My guess is they were probably either just driving through or dumping garbage. A lot of people dump garbage in this area. It's pretty sad, but you never realize how pretty the Meadowlands are until you're actually out here. You know, we drive by, we're stuck in that traffic every day at rush hour along Route 3, 1 and 9, the turnpike, whatever it is, and we don't even think about it, you know what I mean? But when you're actually out here, and thankfully over here it doesn't smell like rotten eggs. I don't know if something over there, if they were dumping something over there, but it smelled horrible. And I've always been saying this, I never realized, because I've seen this in pictures, this bridge, I never actually realized how big it is until I actually got out here. It's huge. And this is where it's connecting. They put this in an open position so that they can let boats go by. But how much is that going to cost? How much is a new bridge across the Hackensack River going to cost? It's crazy to think about, and I just don't know how they're going to do it if their budget's only $100 million. I think that's why the tracks have been sitting empty for 2 years, or the trail, because there's no tracks there anymore. But I think that's why. As much as I don't want to do this, I'm going to ask the cop if I can go there, because I don't think he's probably going to be leaving anytime soon. So I asked the cop, and of course he said no, but I'm determined to get to the top of Snake Hill, since I can't walk this portion, and construction has already started in this area. So I thought that they originally, on some of the articles, they said that the Newark Kearny portion would be open around late 2025. So it's starting, and other than the tracks being torn up, you didn't see any evidence of any construction until I got out here. We're basically at the end of the line now, where it meets up with all the other railroads, and it went into the Jersey City terminal, or now Hoboken, but the Jersey City terminal now is nothing but apartments, I think. The view out here is great, especially if you look on this side, but over here, it's not great because you got Harmon Cove and the American Dream Mall. The Ferris wheel is the American Dream Mall. Harmon Cove, okay, people gotta live there. I understand that, and it's an ugly building, but I think the apartments are actually really nice. But American Dream is just, it's crazy. I actually cannot believe that they opened up that mall so recently. I mean, before COVID, but it's like right before COVID they opened it up. The amount it went through to build the largest mall in America started in the 90s, and they were having problems back then. Now though, I mean, it's just, why would you open up a mall in a time where malls are dying? Where we have struggling malls, and then they want to open up the biggest mall in the world when Amazon's taking over everything. And environmentally, it's also pretty bad. Although sometimes I just think about, there's nothing that will save the Meadowlands. You know, New Jersey has the most super fun sites in the country. And even then, I don't think there's much that can be done with the pollution out here. But even when you watch the intro of The Sopranos, a lot of it was in this area. And even back then, it looked dirtier. So maybe they are making improvements. I really don't know. But it's all interesting to think about. It really is. There's got to be a way up here, though. I mean, you see a flag at the top. News reporters have been up there. So there's got to be a way to get up. And I'll just have to go around. It's mating season for the spotted lanternflies, so you're really supposed to squish them. I don't like doing it because I have nothing to really squish it with. I'm not going to do it with my bare hands. But I don't know what they're doing on a pole. Usually you see them in trees, but it's weird. There's really no way to get to the portion over here. Disappointing as hell, but wow. That's barbed wire too. That's not even the razor wire. That's the ones that they use for the jails. Like, what? Maybe somebody jumped off. That could have been the possibility, but I want to get somewhere up here, you know, because even if I don't get to see the tracks, at least the view will just still be amazing. So it's just crazy to me that they wouldn't put something up here, like a trail or something. I don't know, because it's so beautiful, but what are you gonna do? There is such a big emphasis on not going on Snake Hill, and I don't understand it, because you could see the sign right here: no entrance except emergency and county vehicles. So you're telling me a car or an emergency vehicle, like a fire truck, can go up here, but I can't? Really, it just seems like the whole area is heavily monitored. I don't know what they're hiding on Snake Hill, but I don't want to know. So I am going to head back to the car. So this is pretty much the conclusion of our walk along the Old Boonton Line, to get out there one more time before significant changes are to be made. We're right here in front of the Benson Street Station in Glen Ridge. And what are my thoughts on the project? What are my thoughts on actually getting out here and seeing stuff for myself? Well, there's a lot of problems. You know, with the bridges, that's going to be a major concern. Environmentally, it might also be a problem, because we're kicking out a lot of the animals that are here, that are existing on the line. Like, you would never ever think to see deer in Belleville and Newark. I mean, Montclair maybe, Glen Ridge maybe, but seeing them in Newark was a surprise. And, you know, they'll probably just have to go to some forest in Branch Brook Park now, or find another place to go. You know, but this is really one of the only places where it's quiet. You can walk out here for hours and not see anyone. So, you know, for this area, that's pretty rare. Now, I love the idea of being able to bike through Essex and Hudson County. The Kearny Cut is beautiful. The Meadowlands are beautiful once you can get past the smell. So that's also really good. But we got to question to ourselves, is it worth it? There are so many parks in New Jersey. And I feel like New Jersey has good biking and transit infrastructure already. So do we really want to build this? Also, today is the 29th of September, meaning that either today or tomorrow is the 22nd anniversary of this line disconnecting service. And just interesting as a railroad history. We're leaving Glen Ridge and coming into Bloomfield now, and the towns that I've realized are most for the project seem to be Montclair and Newark. Montclair because it's a gentrifying place and they'll just do anything to attract New York City transplants. And Newark has a really bad reputation, so I get why they'd want to bring people into their city, you know? Plus you got Branchbrook Park right there, so the Newark portion, you know, despite the sketchy area around Route 21, it could actually be a really nice area to be biking in, you know? But what about Belleville, you know? What about Kearny, the towns that are not for this project for reasons, because these are very blue-collar industrial towns where people don't have the money to be displaced, you know? And people's rents and property taxes start going up because there's a bike trail in their backyard and you see luxury apartments popping up in Belleville and Kearny, then that's just, you know, not good. And we live in an area now where basically ever since COVID, every inch of North Jersey, areas that weren't desirable years ago, like Patterson, Newark, East Orange, are now becoming very valuable and expensive. You know, where luxury apartments are popping up in areas that used to be the hood. So, not saying that this area was the hood, but this is, you know, an area that you should not gentrify. This is pretty much towns like Belleville and Kearny. Oh, this is a dead end. Well, anywhere and pretty much in Belleville and Kearny is mostly working class people. We need to keep those people around to function this area instead of pushing them, I don't know, either out of the state or into South Jersey. It's not right. And I don't know if the trail will do that, you know, when it's just... All right, well, I need to back up, but are we really going to do that when, you know, we have working class people, truck lots being bought out? I don't know, but I still think there's a lot of benefits and a lot of disadvantages to this project. Do we really need it is what I'm asking. Is over $100 million really worth it just so we can bike through the Meadowlands? I mean, there's so many beautiful parks in this part of the state, like Branchbrook, the parks in the Meadowlands. We don't need anymore, you know what I mean?